We're going to talk a little bit about how many of you are familiar with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment? Okay, everybody. But you probably don't know everybody's familiar with the Leafs, everybody's familiar with the Raptors, Toronto FC, Toronto Marlies, but the 30-second tour of Maple Leaf Sports is actually those four teams. We own the Air Canada Centre. We operate Ricoh Coliseum down at the exhibition grounds. We also operate BMO Field. It's a partnership with the city. We have 3 television networks, Leafs TV, NBA TV Canada, Goal TV Canada. Associated with all of those brands are the digital properties that each of those would entail, and that's primarily what I'm responsible for. The majority of which I tell everybody, I'm responsible for everything but TV, but I do TV too. So the company has grown. I've been there since 2001. The company has grown exponentially over the course of the last 10 years. Not sure if you're familiar with the west side of Air Canada Centre. We've got a bar. There's the 2 big towers there. We're partners, third partners in that condo building. We own businesses within there. Real Sports. How many people have been to Real Sports Bar and Grill? Spectacular. The after party's there, right? Okay, so it's a pretty big company. It's grown a lot over the last little bit, but we're good. Perfect. So we are entering a phase where we are going to be concentrating on hopefully making fans for life for any of our brands. We're going to talk today. Let's make sure this is working. We're going to talk today primarily about the Leafs, because who doesn't want to talk about the Leafs? But the strategies and things that you see, we do them for all of our teams in varying degrees. But what I'm going to do is we're going to map out a little bit of strategy. We're going to go into some examples, and we'll watch some videos at the end. And let's definitely stop me anytime, yell out. Let's keep this a little bit interactive and questions. And here we go. So everybody knows the digital world is complex. There's, we just saw in the last presentation a myriad of ways that you can communicate with your. See, I always want to go on this side and then look back that way. So there's a myriad of ways we can communicate with one another, But the bottom line that we're finding in the last little bit is the most successful people are the people that are looking at that holistically across all of their platforms. So it's really about a media strategy now. We used to talk about how we would do. What's your social strategy, or what's your, what are you up to on Foursquare? I'm doing what Foursquare does, but it's part of a bigger plan. That's something that I think a lot of people are starting to transition to, a complete and holistic media strategy. I think the media, this is like, this is what I say. So when I say it's complete, I don't know if it's actually complete, but I think it's complete. That media convergence is done. We're coming back to the time where all media is treated as one thing, just like we were talking about. Content equals marketing equals PR equals advertising. If those things aren't talking with one another and creating things in a way that they're all interacting together, you're probably missing the boat a little bit. And then 2 of the big things that we live in the digital department and try to get the rest of our organization talking about all the time is content and context. I don't know if anybody likes the Leafs on Facebook, but Saturday we didn't play. Very weird, right? Saturday night, no Leaf game. So the guys in my group got together, and gals, I should say, and got together, and they came up with a keep calm, we're back on Monday graphic. 12,000 shares, 10,000 likes. This crazy thing, this little graphic that it was a piece of content created very quickly based on the context around the Leafs aren't playing tonight, And that's how we're thinking now. We're thinking live and in the moment and using context to drive content. And for us, we have 82 Super Bowls for each of our big teams every year, 32 some TFC. So living our brands live, I put all my resources into those live events. Everything goes into that day. Morning, you're starting to see us stream morning skates for the Maple Leafs, all because everybody's looking forward to the game that night. Doesn't matter what league I'm in, what day it is. I know that every game day is going to be the biggest traffic day of that week. It's kind of simple, really. Everybody, the interest around the games is that's the thing that draws the most eyeballs, and where you capitalize on everything is by putting your resources where the eyeballs are. So, and the way we've started to think about things is everything is like a real relationship, a friendship. How we interact with each other is really important to business. And loyalty, what we're all here to discuss today, is really about, you're going to be loyal to your friends above anybody else. And if you're friends with brands, you're going to be loyal to them. It's pretty simple, right? I mean, we're always looking for that, acronym that my CFO will like. And he's been all over me for the return on investment for digital for the last 10 years. So I kind of came up with my own that I've seen lots of other people use too, but return on engagement is a good one, so I just throw that back at him, and he leaves me alone for a little bit. But this is not my quote either. I take a lot of stuff from everybody else. Kevin Roberts, Love Marks, who didn't really read that book? Saatchi & Saatchi, CEO, he's been there for 15 years. I saw him speak in London last fall, and he put this up. He thinks that his job is this, to create loyalty beyond reason. That to me was very powerful, and I kind of latched onto that and said, that's what we want to, what's more beyond reason the way a fan interacts with his sports team. I've seen it all, so that just totally depicts sports for me. So we needed another acronym to decide what is our social strategy for all of our teams. We talked about the Leafs here, but we want to treat everything like it's a friendship, like we were talking about. I mean, whatever platform we're talking about, whether it's online, whether it's TV, whether it's email, I think they're all media. We want to answer everybody the best way we know how, or like we were talking about in a couple of the other presentations, people will answer for them, and we might chime in and say, yeah, you're right, that kind of thing. We want to be now and in the moment. Right now is the most important thing in sports. As soon as that buzzer goes, the game is over. You might want to you've got about 12 hours to rehash that game, and it's done, it's forgotten. It's just over. And if you're not living in the moment in sports, you're missing all of your audience building opportunities. And we're not also, and when we say share everything, it's kind of our fourth tenet. It's we recognize that with the Maple Leafs, we're not the only people that are creating content around that brand. Toronto Star is, Molson is, regular Joes are. That's we want to share everything that's cool and good and unique. So, when I was talking about this, I thought, what is the best way to describe to you the way we want to treat our fans? And I think, although I can't confirm or deny it, that we were the first team to ever have a live, in-the-moment Twitter conversation with fans during games, with a person totally dedicated to doing that and cultivating a loyal group of fans to be part of a conversation during a live event. So this is how we do it. About 15 minutes before puck drop, we were responding to people live on Twitter. Our community manager, Matthew Iaboni, I don't know if any of you guys follow him on Twitter, great guy, handles all of our, anything Maple Leafs, Matt Iaboni updates now. He's the website guy, he's the Facebook guy, he's the Twitter guy, he's the YouTube guy, he's doing it. He is the central hub for all communications for the Maple Leafs. His boss, John Sinden, who's also big into that, they work together to make sure all of these places are up to date. But it always starts every single game with what's your prediction? What's your prediction for tonight's game? Make sure you use TML Talk in your response. TML Talk, I think and I have to credit John and Matt and the entire team for coming up with people who really use hashtags for a quality purpose. You know that when you use this live during a game, something is happening. It's like a radio frequency. You can tune into TML Talk and be part of something that other people are part of. You know, we used to, a couple of years ago, you'd use Leafs or Maple Leafs, but like, it's too much. You can't keep up. It's like try to follow Toronto during some sort of political, some sort of scandal of some sort. You can't do it, right? So you actually, as a brand, you got to find something that's a little more on demand, if that's the correct term. Something that you can drive people to. That's kind of like that's you talking, And we've seen a little bit of a success with that. So we started with a quiz. We keep plugging people for answers throughout. What's the biggest reason for a line may have scored a goal? We try to keep it in context based on what's going on. People reply. We reply back to them. It's a very, it's like a real conversation, like we were saying. And what's the other thing that friends typically reward one another? We'll give away the prize. We're not giving away the prize for somebody who makes the correct prediction or anything like that. It's the guy that gets retweeted the most. Who said the funniest, wittiest comment? Who shared the coolest photo? Who did the best thing during that Twitter conversation that night? That's who wins the prize. And that's who I think is one of the interesting things that we try to do is make it a little more about how successful you are as part of this buzz around TML Talk. Keep promoting it throughout the rest of the night. The day of a game, we're going to throw this up in Matt's blog. Here's the prize for tonight. We're going to throw a picture of the prize up on Instagram at some point. It's just, that's our focal point. Everything is TML Talk, whether it's TML Talk as far as we're calling our practice show now, the TML Talk practice show. Pretty good, eh? Isn't it? We're amazing marketers down there. So that's what we're focused on, right? TML Talk is everything to us right now. That's what we're driving towards, and every little tenet that comes along with it is all about that. So I also want to tell you guys about a concept. So every brand, whether it's our brand or anybody else's brand, is going to be able to come up with concepts that can help drive interaction and engagement. And one of the ways we would do it is we sit around the office and debate these things. So Brooke Pashley and Matt Iaboni, they were debating one day who's the greatest goalie of all time. Right? So what we told them, why don't you make a video about it? Ask everybody. So you make a video, throw the video up somewhere on YouTube, post it on your Facebook page, see what people are going to say in the comments down below, chime in, talk about what people are saying. Oh, we might as well create a poll now, right? So we'll create a poll on our Facebook page. We'll put that same poll on our website, and we'll drive to this one concept that is, who's the greatest Leafs goalie in history, right? Everybody's saying Johnny Bower. How do you argue with that? Never wore a mask, for Pete's sake. He's got cuts everywhere. I voted for Curtis Joseph because I was covering the team when he was around, and it was a cool time. But and he's a good guy. So, but So you take the results of said poll. What do you mean? What's everybody talking about? What's the latest buzzword that everybody's talking about? Oh, and we need an infographic. Right? Need an infographic. So we created an infographic. Throw it up as your Facebook cover photo. Get a whole whack of people. Where are we seeing? I can't see you. 500 and so people, take a look at the poll. But then the twist for us is because we've got all these people kicking around creating content all the time. Mike Ulmer said that poll was ridiculous. There's no way Johnny Bauer was the greatest goalie of all time for the Leafs. So he wrote a column. You're wrong. The column went nuts. Everybody who had invested in that concept then came at Mike Ulmer because they were invested in it. We created a whole whack of interactions, numbers and shares and all that fun stuff, right? So it's another example. It's a non-live example of content in context and living a concept live. And the more concepts you have, or cool concepts that you have, I think the better chance you have of creating better interactions and better chance of creating audiences, better chance of getting people to buy your stuff. That's the bottom line. So, wanted to show you guys a few things around opening week. So did you guys hear there was a lockout? There was a lockout. It's over now, though, so it's good. The best thing about lockouts is that they always end. They just do. And fortunately, this one ended around January 19th, and we put a few things together to kick off the season. Because of all these new tools that we've had in place for the last little bit, I think it was one of the most interesting marketing / content / media experiments that we've done. And because it was taking media offline and taking offline into media, and it was just the spinning circle for like a week and a half of complete fan interaction, and I thought it was pretty cool. So what we did was a bunch of marketing events, right? We took over Nathan Phillips Square. I don't know if you can see, the maple leaf there. That was pretty cool. We had, that did that at a bunch of rinks all around. And then, we had jerseys and blocks of ice, and we put those all around the city. And we had the mobile fan zone everywhere. And everywhere it went, right? Like that cycle would continue where you would promote that you're going to be there. You'd take up something would happen there, a piece of content, you'd create that and share that after the fact. And that cycle just kind of continued throughout the week, right? Whether it would be Carlton the Bear, showing up and on the subway, which, I'm not sure whether that was the most appropriate place for him or not, considering the space issues we've got on the subway. But, those guys showing up and the Maple Leafs account jumping in, and, then fans are doing things because of opening week, like putting your kid in a giant Leaf sleeper and toting him around the city. It's amazing, right? So we're sharing all that content while it happens. And the best part, too, is other people are doing it. George doesn't know he's in this presentation, but he did a really good job of getting an awesome photo of Rob Ford, who made a TML Talk prediction that day of a 4-2 Leafs victory. I forget, was that right? I think we won for sure. 4-3. He was almost off. He almost got it. And then, we made a big commitment to sharing all of those things and documenting what was going on. So one of the biggest things, let's kind of zip through here. One of the biggest things was that not only was this a big thing for us and for the fans, then next thing you know, partners are starting to get involved. And partners were Tim Hortons was at Nathan Phillips Square, and they were, giving people free coffee and donuts and all of this stuff, right? And then they're in on the engagement, and they're sending out photos of coffee and skates and things. It's cool. And that is one of the things that I find most interesting, is that I think you're going to see over time is when you as a brand do something that's fun and interesting, you're going to attract other brands to jump and get involved too. And if you're partners with somebody, they need to know what you're up to so they can jump in and help you make your thing a lot bigger and better than it could be on its own. So let's flip through some of these. This was the line. So this was before we announced the free game, but we announced that were tickets going to be available, and these are the people who are lining up for a chance. These people weren't getting tickets. They were lining up for a chance to get tickets. Remember how cold it was that day? It's freezing. It's ridiculous. But that's the power of a sports fan. That's what a fanatic, the term fanatic, is all about. They'll do just about anything, right? And it's how you create that relationship with them that can really drive your business, drive your audience for your media, all that fun stuff. But the thing that I'm trying to hammer home to you guys is while this stuff was happening, we were following that process of promote, document, share stuff after the facts, following that acronym of fans on whatever platform it came to be. Whether it be CP24, whether it be our own blog, whether it be, our marketing folks created a poster. Oh, that's a piece of media, right? Let's throw that up in the blog or create a web page around that. See if people want to share that sort of thing. One of the biggest things I think that we've learned in the last little bit, especially around the example that I talked about for Saturday with the Leafs not playing, pictures on Facebook are like the most powerful thing. If you can get a quality picture up on Facebook and it's a piece of content that's in context and everybody, it just goes crazy, right? So, like this day, this picture, I can't see, what's it say, 2,700 likes. Like this would have been, I knew this was going to be a big, a story we were going to want to tell. So, we probably cropped this out like a couple hours after it actually happened, right? So these things grow quite quickly. And there's nothing more powerful on Facebook, in my opinion, than a really good photo that is just that. And it's a post, and that's the way it goes. So I like Twitter. I like Facebook photos. I like live in the moment. I also like YouTube. YouTube's pretty cool. And 4 years ago, John Sinden, who we brought in 3 years ago to kind of manage our digital content strategy. I, as a media guy at that particular time, wasn't that big on YouTube. I'm like, am I going to put all my best stuff up on YouTube and they get all the ad money and, we're putting all the effort. But I wasn't thinking of it in terms of the types of content that we could actually do that really work on YouTube. The stuff that works on our website, highlights, in-depth, that sort of thing, like game, ice, what do we call ice? That stuff really plays on our website because people want to watch, that we've conditioned them to come there for that. But Game in 6 Minutes, which would be our #1 video on our website, it doesn't even, it gets a few highlights on YouTube. Like, it doesn't do as well as I would thought. But then something like this video, or some of the other ones that we've done, if you after this, go to our YouTube channels for each of our teams and see what's the most popular ones. It's really weird because it's nothing to do with ice. It's to do with some kid at the game doing a slam dunk or some anthem singer doing something. It's different. YouTube is a different spot, and you got to cater the content you want to put on that platform to that. So anyway, we told you about the jerseys and the ice. We placed these all around the city the Saturday of the opener, but the opener was in Montreal, so it was Monday morning. We placed all these jerseys all around the city, and I watched from our offices over here, and then I watched from the window. 40 minutes, this happened. Okay, my favorite part about that video is those guys totally think they're stealing these jerseys. They think that they are. You see them, they're like, where's the kid? What's going on? Somebody's gonna jump out and get me. And that's what kind of the point is that when we sat around and kind of brainstorming some ideas, we knew we wanted to give away some jerseys, and we were going to do these ice sculptures that were just going to kind of melt away. And I kind of said, well, why don't we stick some jerseys in there and see what people do? Maybe they'll just, there was 3 things were going to happen. One, we were going to get a bunch of guys who were thinking they're stealing the jerseys, which was the most probable. The other probable was they were just, nobody was going to touch them. Like they were, think that they were, if you touch them, you're going to get arrested or something. So they would just stay there forever and melt into the ground. Or, I'm not sure what the third one was. But it was very funny in that video on YouTube, that stuff really plays, right? And we were because we got enough infrastructure based on our TV networks and our scoreboards and all the things at Maple Leaf Square, we were able to capture a video like that and really set something up that can really work on YouTube. So some other things that we did, Dan Daou. Does anybody remember Dan Daou? So he just we sent him over to a rink. He started playing with some kids. He really thought he was schooling them too. He's got the fancy moves. See? I wanted him to be a little bit nicer to the kids, but he really wanted to get back into things. But anyway, that was kind of, little videos like that helped our YouTube channel a lot, right? Is that something that's shareable? A lot of Leaf fans remember Dan Daou. They would probably, want to, if you were a big fan, they'd send that to you. We're always thinking of things that are shareable, always thinking of things that you want to show people, and that's what really plays on YouTube. And, this one, I don't know what the numbers this one is at now, but it's definitely one of our more popular videos. Commander Chris Hadfield. I always call him Hatfield, but it's Hadfield. And did you guys see that he tweeted out a Leafs logo that he was a member of Leafs Nation from the space station? Then the Maple Leafs account jumped in and had this big conversation. And the conversation led to him doing the first ever puck drop from outer space. So somehow, I don't know how they did it. Props to our marketing crew and our game ops crew. They somehow got him to do this video in outer space, which is, that's beyond me. So you guys get the gist. The first official ceremonial puck drop from outer space. Totally amazing. But the thing about it is, we never used to put these types of things up on YouTube. We never, In Arena was its In Arena thing. And, not even that long ago, at the start of what would have been the start of the back in September, we said, we're going to record the scoreboard feed of what happens in Arena. And we're getting so much gold out of that just instantaneously goes up on our YouTube channel. If we were doing a Raptors presentation today, the last month has been ridiculous. We've done probably close to 1.3 million YouTube views for the Raptors account alone in February because of scoreboard content. And it's just been a complete eye opener to us that it's not behind the scenes, but it's things that people don't normally get to see if they're just consuming us through the CBC or Sportsnet or TSN or Leafs TV, and they don't get to see that stuff. And it's cool stuff that people want to share, and we're changing our mindset to focus on those things, and it's worked so far. This is the last one I'm going to show you guys, and only because it was the very first video after we put the jerseys out. It was the first fan-created video that we saw. And I just love how so completely surprised the guy is. That the guy who is standing here, he found the jersey, but the guy taking the video, he's like, he can't believe that this jersey is here. And it's almost like he's documenting it for science or something. So I tweeted the @Twitter account. I said, "You're welcome. There's one more person on Twitter because of this jersey." Like they needed it. So that's the little bit of a tour of how we treat or trying to treat and this presentation might be the best thing about digital is presentation will be totally different in 2 weeks. So for the last 2 weeks, this is what we've been up to, and this is how we're going forward, and it's a constant evolution. And thanks for your time.